Milk Outside a Bag of Milk is a psychological horror visual novel and sequel to Milk Inside a Bag of Milk, and follows the same unnamed protagonist as they return home and deal with the aftermath of the events of the first game. The game is available on Steam and Nintendo Switch. Atmosphere. The colours and shapes and tones of the game all converge. The dark, warm reds and purples contrast with the protagonist's ghostly white face. There's a decisive lack of definition on objects in the environment, along with the nightmarish droning music, gives the game this unearthly feeling, a warm, creeping terror that, like ocean waves, crashes down and subsides. In its quieter moments, it's subdued, like a cool, placid body of water. A feeling of apathy slides over the raging beast below. You talk to the protagonist, but the dialogue on first inspection is hard to understand. Sentences bleed into other ones, and both people talking seem to be aware of things that the player can't be. The hints you get to what's going on are buried behind things representing other things, symbolism under symbolism, and all that's left is a woeful, discordant mixture of emotions conveyed through the music and visuals. Cracking an egg reveals another egg, thoughts turn into fireflies, emotions too complex to convey are explained anecdotally. There's overtones of sympathy, but it feels as though your language and theirs differs, though you both speak English. The game represents the various mental disorders of the main character through the atmosphere, which leaves the game as this collage of emotions that give an unsettling feel, a heady daydream and a violent nightmare. To say that Milk Outside a Bag of Milk has a decent atmosphere is an understatement. It breezes between the different things frequently, but each one feels unique. A slight change like a music track switching makes a monumental difference, and the world you're in shifts along with it. It is a master of conveying moods, even confusing ones. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. In many ways, the game contains only a few moments of pure terror near the start, as events are recalled in a violating and bizarre cosmic horror encounter with a being beyond understanding. But the real horror lies in the truth, that whilst the perceptions of the character are terrifying, it's all obscured by how various things are afflicting them. The game is mostly frightening in concept, but has a layer of realism deep below it. Though what's presented directly may be strange and hard to comprehend, the underlying conditions that cause these perceptions are very real, and aspects of some people's daily life. The problem is that, at least for the first playthrough, it's very hard to understand these things, and the game it presents openly is only scary once or twice. Things are odd and bewildering. It's harder to dig deeper if you don't know what you're looking for. Clearly something is very wrong, a feeling that never goes away, but the real horror is in finding what. The game is very rewarding for multiple playthroughs, where the horror can be unearthed and digested a second time. That's 2 Harry Masons. Sound design. The game's soundtrack is where a lot of its moods come from, with organ-like synths playing melancholy chords to create that surface-level unease of a placid lake, to the discordant jumble of tones that fuzz the mind and all sound like plates being thrown down the stairs forever, like a haunting memory or a nightmare you can't quite recall. There's a lot of sound in the game, from the radios that play random things in the main character's room to the various tracks that play in specific scenarios, but only a few of them stick in your mind, though the overall soundtrack is great. There's not much in the way of sound effects besides the sounds that play again as you speak to other characters, Banjo-Kazooie style. A lot of the normal sound design things like directional audio and reverb don't apply here in the normal way. Every screen is centered on the protagonist and there's no real sound effects to have reverb on. It's strange though understandable, but it feels like you're disconnected from the real world. That's 3 Harry Masons. Gore. There's no gore in the game, and it didn't need any. That's 4 Harry Masons. Story. The game follows on from Milk Inside a Bag of Milk, where the protagonist goes to buy milk, which in their state of mind presents unseen challenges and really brings about the kind of existential horror that can only be derived from the perspective of the main character. There are other people talking, and how separate they are from the main character is up for debate, but really a lot of the story is up to interpretation. Many things transpire within the story, but it's hard to say one way or another what is definitively happening. Your thoughts don't really turn into fireflies, and sometimes you need to press the protagonist multiple times whilst recalling an event to get the true story that lurks underneath the softly laid lies that comfort them. There are a lot of ways to interpret events from the things they say or do, and it may make the story challenging to consume, but it's supposed to be. Life isn't simple, and their life definitely isn't. On first inspection, it will probably come across as bizarre and nonsensical, but it's anything but. And like the scares benefit from digging deeper to figure out what things are meant to be, the story is the same. The game has several endings, and they sometimes almost help the story become more digestible, but sometimes muddy the waters further. A harrowing revelation and a deep well of sadness once it's uncovered, making the final score 5 out of 5 Harry Masons. Milk Outside a Bag of Milk is a really fascinating game that is very hard to get into, meaning almost nothing on the first playthrough, but the game takes an hour to beat, and there's several choices you can make to change the outcome of the game to find those endings. Though even with a surface level understanding for the game, you leave with something. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I struggled to understand what was happening, I didn't give up on the milk and advise you don't either. There will be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. Now let's go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.